First of all, it's not even a real shoe. It was the hole in Oklahoma. You know what I mean? It's a huge difference. And you're giving the whole world the whole fantasy of what prison is. You're giving them a Hollywood perspective.
See what Nick says. Oh yeah, did Wes mention how he was getting high at Delano CCF? Stayed up for a couple days, acting all weird, and ran around at 2 a.m., telling everybody there was 30 cops in the rotunda and tower getting ready to come in, and everybody jumped up trying to grab all their contraband and get rid of it. And no one was there. There was no cops. Crazy. So, he never put in no work. He's got that Dago, just, I guess, I don't know, got out of a Cracker Jack box, I'm not sure.
Yeah, what's cracking, everybody? Welcome back to another episode of Prison Break Raw. I'm your host, the one and only Big JD. Go ahead, get this channel, subscribe, share, at least some messages or comments. Hit the thumbs up for the like. Notification bell to be informed of all episodes as they drop. Most importantly, if you enjoy this content, please feel free to share it. Share it to your family, your friends, your coworkers, anywhere and everywhere in your social media platforms. Let's get this raw and uncut material out there to the millions that don't know we are here. I am going to approach this topic regarding Mr. Wes Watson much differently than I did before. Not because I give a fuck about what you may say or how you may feel or what kind of a comment you may leave me or any of that nonsense. Oh, no. Could care less. I am going to present you the facts, the things that are known, the things that have come to the surface, that have come out in the wash, that have been brought to the light. Stuff that has been mentioned by other channels like Splinter and Body Young. We're also going to get into the general consensus of pretty much every single prison YouTube genre channel of men that have been in the California Department of Corrections and Rehumiliation. All of them feel the same way about this gentleman. Why? Because we're going off of experience. A decade or longer for many of us, most of us, that have seen a million of these kind of guys. When we're asked what we think of them, you already know what I think of them, but I mean, people would used to ask me, and these other channels get asked all the time, and they're honest about it. Take, for example, Dubs V. He's got no axe to grind with Wes Watson or his rising fame. He's not trying to become America's next top model in all this. He's not trying to blow up and get big and go into Hollywood. In a lot of ways, Dubs V's channel is kind of like a therapy session for him, just like it is for me. Reason I know this is because he doesn't do any collabs or anything like that. He's talked about it, he's mentioned it, but he's not looking to blow up like that. He's perfectly content with his base that he's got. So if he says something, you should basically take it as it has a lot of merit. Plus, he's an OG. He's a double OG. He was a lifer. He's on lifetime parole. He's been in the shoe. He's been all up and down the state of California. He's seen a lot of shit. And if he's saying that Wes is a narcissist and his stories don't add up and he appears to be kind of Hollywoodish and phonyish, you should take it as a valid point. If not, then don't ask him. American Cholo, same thing. Mitch, Hard Intentions, never even heard of him. That's the triple OG from the Dago car. It's been in the CDC since the 70s. And he doesn't know anything about this guy. You would think that he would know. Dirt 916, Nate Dogg 916, Joey from Free from Fredder's Grove, myself, Badger, Rhino. Rhino used to like Wes, but then he saw the true Wes. Big Whack from Dago as well. Sees right through his bullshit. Splinter with his buddy Nick. Now Potty Young. And what did Potty say? What did Splinter say? Let's get into that. Like I said, stick to the facts. In case you're not familiar with Splinter, Prison POV, go check out his video. If you're a Wes fan, just have a little bit of objectivity, be receptive, and hear what he's got to say. His buddy Nick Grimmage did what he's supposed to do in prison politics, in car politics. He went on a mission, one of those kind of things that Wes said he raised his hand for, said that he was front and center for, that he was on deck for. Well, that's what Nick Grimmage did. It's called taking out the trash or cleaning up the yard, whatever it is. Somebody had to go. He went on the mission. He handled it. They gave him 13 years. He fought it for a year. Or he was looking at 13 years with 85%. He fought it for a year, and he got it down to 6 years with 85%. Well, guess what? Here comes old Wes Watson to the rescue. Does a video about Nick Grimmage. Why? Why would he throw his first and his last name in a video? What, for views? For subscribers? To kind of like, make himself look bigger and badder than the next man who's still in there? But he did. He did a video about him, called him a bitch and a punk and a drug addict, and he's weak because he uses drugs and all that stuff like that. That he's making tomahawks, that he's sitting on the toilet tweaking, talking about attacking COs and all that kind of stuff. Well, guess what? Because Wes's channel's so big, corruption officers from the CDC actually use his videos as a blueprint. We know this now because Splinter revealed all that in Nick's letter. And this letter came from Nick. The same Nick that Wes was friends with at one point in time. That was his boy at one point in time. Wes actually has pictures with him and Nick where he's sitting on a bunk and that dude with the shaved head sitting next to him off to the left. That's Nick. He sold him up the river by throwing him out there, giving his whole name, telling him what he's doing, knowing that Nick's still in there. On his way to court, the squad, SSU, IGI, whatever you want to call them, the black patches on the green jumpsuits, CDC correctional officers and internal investigators, rolled up on Nick, said, hey, going back to court, huh? Well, your buddy Wes Watson dropped a video about you and had a lot of things to say about you. And a lot of things to say about how you wanted to take off on staff and how you're getting high and doing all this and making knives and blah, blah, blah. They even told Nick that if Wes ever comes back here, he's finished. Can't walk a main line ever again. Nick didn't think nothing of it, went to court. Guess what? They took the offer of 6 years off the table and told him you sign for 11 years or go to trial. 11 years with 85% thanks to Wes Watson. God damn. Do you know how much time 11 years with 85% is? That's 10 years and some change. It's a whole decade. A whole decade. Now, I know many of you may not care because, like I said, a lot of his base is correctional officers. A lot of them that uses video as a blueprint. It would appear that Wes is not only a life coach and a motivational speaker, he's a social media informant. Because he recorded that video and he knew he was being recorded, all they got to do is set a TV screen on the witness stand, turn it on, and let Wes go. He doesn't even have to be there, and he doesn't even have to agree to it. His testimony on that video is more than circumstantial. Congratulations. Just gave a man over a decade in prison now. Nice. Real nice. Like I said, many of you may not care because I get the appeal. I really do get the appeal. Wes is this, big buff, tattooed up white boy, and he's a symbol of strength in a time of uncertainty and a time of a lot of low self-esteem through a lot of people because of, and I know many of you may not want to hear this, but a lot of white men in this country feel they're being marginalized unfairly. They're being blamed for shit that happened 100 years ago, 50 years ago. They're being blamed for corrupt, abusive cops or crooked politicians. They're being blamed for the rich white ruling class of like 20% of them that don't give a fuck none about anything about them as the blue-collar workforce. They feel as that they're the scapegoat for a lot of this. And I can empathize with that. Why? Because I share the same skin color. It doesn't matter I'm a Sureño. It doesn't matter I'm Big JD from the streets. It doesn't matter what I ran in prison. In the minds of a lot of these people in the social justice left, I'm just another white man that's got white privilege. I've been told this many times. I've been called a colonizer, an occupier, an imperialist, a colonialist, a freaking white supremacist, alt-right, Trump supporter. I've been told that my place is at the bottom of a river dead or my throat slashed. I even had a dude from Black Lives Matter slide up into my DM, told me that I hate him because I fear his strong black masculinity. Whatever you tell yourself in the mirror, pal. I mean, personally, that whole statement only told me that you have no kind of self-esteem and you're a whining crybaby. That's all that told me. And I just pushed on, gave him a middle finger symbol, and moved on. I don't respond to that bullshit. I got a very thick skin, though. I don't need somebody like Wes Watson. But many of his supporters, and I've looked at his analytics, 95% of them white males between the ages of 18 and 35. I get it, guys. Guys, I get it. You're looking for a symbol. You're looking for a hero, somebody to raise you up out of all of this nonsense, but he's not the guy. I would be lying to you if I said that his message doesn't help anybody, because I know it helps people. I do. I know this. But at the same time, Anton LaVey's message of the Church of Satan, his message helped people. Jim Jones, his message helped people. So did David Koresh. So did Charles Manson. So did Reverend Moon. Just because something's helpful to some people, it could be detrimental to others as well. Look at John of God. He's healed all kinds of people, but he's caught up in a child sex trafficking scandal. The main thing that I always try to stress is lead by example, and this dude don't lead by example. Plus, he plays a dangerous game. You guys have got to understand that this is not a joke. This is not a joke. There's some real fucking hardcore dangerous people in them prisons, man. Some stone cold maniacs in there. You think this is all shits and giggles and fun and entertaining? Listening to like Big Herc talk about busting cheeks or after prison show making pizzas with dough and flipping houses. Jessica Kent talking about she's the biggest, baddest female drug dealer in the country. Christina Randall putting on makeup. 1090 Jake with his stuff. And all that, and it's just a big joke. This ain't a joke when it comes to California prison politics. I can't speak for these other states, but I know California prison politics. I was in that place for close to 2 decades. I know what's in there. I know what kind of people are in there. I know what kind of a reach they got. And it's a very far, far, far reach. California is the dominant force in the federal prison system from coast to coast. That even further extends their reach. The snap of a finger, somebody could be got. Some young torpedo wanting to make a name for themselves fresh out. Just straight walk up on somebody and dome them, or somebody in their family. It happens all the time. The game that Wes plays with this exposing all this shit, talking about how narcotics flows through there and cell phones and putting people's names out there, he's putting not only himself, but his family in harm's way, which is extremely selfish, if you think about it. Every single prison channel, all sizes and shapes, all colors of the rainbow, have spoken on this shit. Then you got Body Young, who was in Oklahoma, who was in that ad seg over there with the people Wes said he was in there with, and he never showed up to roll call. He was never there. And then he says that it was a SHU program he was in Oklahoma. There's no SHU program in Oklahoma. It's a private prison. It's a CCA private prison. The staff there aren't even correctional officers. They're like mall cops. You could beat the shit out of one of them and not even get a charge. Plus, by his own admission, Wes was removed from Oklahoma for a good reason. He took flight on his celly right in front of the cop. You know the story with the ear flapping? He waited till the cop shut the door, stand right there, he took flight on his celly. He got a 115, looking at a GBI. Quite possibly looking at another decade on top of his already 9-year prison sentence, of which, by the way, he says is 10, but he only received a 9-year sentence. Go look him up. Go look up Wesley Watson in the California courts, read his habeas corpus. It'll tell you exactly how much time he got. But he gets shipped out of Oklahoma back to California, and he still doesn't even go to a real prison. He goes to a soft yard. In California, you got an SNY, you got a GP yard, an SNY yard, 50-50 yard, and then you got soft yards. Soft yards are where they put people that are not really much of a risk for violence, politics, and all that other shit. I mean, people slip through the cracks all the time, but these are the people that, you know, everybody just wants to program when they get sent to these places. Shafter and Delano are considered soft yards. That's where he went, another level 2. Why? Because he never got sanctioned for that write-up because it was dismissed. Which was odd and strange that he was removed from Oklahoma and sent back to California on a federal court order. That's what his own paperwork says. You want to read the paperwork? Get at me on IG. I'll supply it to you. I have it. But he still didn't even go to a real prison. He went to another soft yard, CCF, with more mall cops. I don't even think he's ever really had to deal with the squad or IGI or anything. And it's funny because he's on London Real talking about he's the shot caller, boss ballin', big badass, Billy Badass, sending everybody out on a mission, the same kind of mission that Nick went on, because he never had the stones to do it himself. And he's never done it himself, ever. So he lied on London Real, and he didn't confirm nor deny that he was a member of the brand, of which he's not. Which has probably put him in even some more hot water. And then he somehow ends up at Mule Creek, by his own admission once again, during a time that Mule Creek was 100% stone cold solid S&Y, through and through, top to bottom, 1 yard all the way up to the 3 yard. By that time. How did he end up over there? Maybe it had something to do with what got him kicked out of Oklahoma and how he got his 115 dismissed. You never know. That's basically all we're saying. Because look at how he entered the YouTube world. He got his start off of Big Herc. He made such a powerful impression that he blew up. And all of these people that I told you about that have self-esteem issues and stuff, most of them, and don't know like real prison shit, just basically fell in love with them like a bunch of high school girls at a Justin Bieber concert. And it got to the point to where you couldn't say anything bad about him or put anything out there about him. Nobody cared. I mean, you could literally have a video of Wes Watson wearing a cheerleader's outfit getting fist fucked by a hobbit on the beach, and people will think it was photoshopped. That's how crazy it was. But all these things, pretty much what it tells me as a content creator, that this man doesn't really have any integrity because he's a liar. He ain't honest about his prison experience. So if he's not being honest with you about his prison experience, and he doesn't really have any integrity, he doesn't practice what he preaches because, I mean, he's steadily blowing up on his fan base and DMs all the time. He's ripping people off in his fitness program, not giving them their money back because he doesn't follow through. But he's also tied into Blackstone Labs, which has got a bunch of smut on him. They're actually in court over a whole lot of fraud. If you want to just watch his videos because it's entertaining to you, and you find some kind of a positive message out of what he says, well, great. But remember the whole reason why he was untouchable for so long. Why a lot of people looked like haters and looked like they were jealous, and he never responded to any of it. But guess what? Now he did. Go watch his video, Fake Gangsters. He had a lot of things to say about us there. Calling us fat bitches with man boobs and skinny little punks that shoot dope and all this and this and that. And you heard from Nick's letter that he was in there high as giraffe pussy. Spun fucking ducky running around there all spagacked. Going straight weirdo and telling everybody the cops were coming. Everybody flushes their contraband. Thanks a lot, Wes. This is what it's all about, basically, is the integrity and the honesty. That's all. But if you want to watch him, you get your rocks off on him, then by all means, handle your business. But how can any of this sit right with you? Knowing that he got a man a decade in prison now. He got that man a decade. His testimony got him that decade. Still don't care? Well, then why should you care about him anyways, period? Because he's not real. He's not some big old tall badass dude. He's only like 5'7". He's not even that tall. You know? And I'm not knocking somebody with short stature, but I'm saying that he's not some big old giant unstoppable, unbreakable force. He's just a dude that knows how to use that neuro-linguistic programming real well. And he rehashes a bunch of bogus war stories as if they're his, but none of them are his. And then you get some guy that goes on Death's show named Rude Boy or whatever, saying he was in a rock and roll in prison with Wes and Wes was the shot caller, but that don't add up either. Because Wes has never been in a rockin' and rollin' prison. He's been in CCFs his whole time. Unless you're counting Mule Creek, but we all know what that is. I mean, is Rude Boy saying he was at Mule Creek with him? I don't know. Personally, I think that dude was just giving Wes a nod so that he can get some props for his fitness program that he's doing. How did that work out for him? Somebody should ask him. In the grand scheme of all this, you are free to make your own decision. You are free to choose what you want to do with this. You can continue to look at him as if he's just a Hollywood actor and he's entertaining to you. But you have to understand the brand that he built himself around. Big badass, the convict's convict, the epitome of the movie Shot Caller, killing people, knocking people out, stabbing people, running yards. Been to all these hardcore, tough, level 4 prisons, SHU programs, behavioral management units and all that, and he's never been in any of that stuff. Never. He's been in a fight that was dropped. He participated in a hunger strike, and he had a window covering. Those are his only 115s he's ever gotten. He's never gotten jammed up for hooping a phone or any of this stuff. So take all that away, strip all that from him. What do you have? You have just another steroid dude trying to sell a fitness program. That's all we're saying. It's like you go to a car lot to buy a Mercedes-Benz. You see pictures of it, and you get to test drive one around. You sign all the paperwork, and they come rolling it, and they push out a freaking Hyundai. Here you go. Here's your Mercedes. You're not going to want to buy that. It's all about honesty and integrity. It's all about walking the walk. It's all about being an example, always on the camera and off the camera. Treating your fans and your subscribers, treating them with respect. I don't personally subscribe to the yelling in your face, calling people bitches and punks and cowards and losers and lowlifes. I'd smack the shit out of somebody if he was trying to coach me that way. But again, you're free to believe what you want. Like I said, I'm just here to provide a reaction according to the facts. I'm not going to form a personal opinion about this. You're free to troll me on this if you want. But from this day forward, I'm not going to entertain any more people that's seen the light. Everybody that's already contacted me up until now, I'm going to support them. Anybody after that, not trying to hear it. Because here's the facts. Dude has a good voice. Dude, yes, he has been in prison. He should just stick to that. So my advice to him would be honest about your prison experience. Your energy and your message is good enough without all the BS Hollywood bullshit. Really rubs us the wrong way because we know it's phony and we know you're misleading a bunch of people. I don't like people getting misled. I used to watch dudes like you mislead a lot of these youngsters inside of them prisons all the time. I didn't like it then, and I don't like it now. My advice from somebody who's actually been in the rockin' and rollin' California Department of Corrections, the one who's actually been in the cells, the level 3s and the level 4 yards, not in these soft yard CCS with mall cops, but in righteous CDC prisons and in the feds. Just telling you to keep it real, man. Don't mislead people and don't rip them off. If somebody wants their money back, give it to them. Be careful what you do with this content, man, because you could be possibly putting your family in jeopardy by somebody in there that's got a pretty far reach. Just think about these things. That's all I'm saying. You guys just do your research. Go watch that video, Fake Gangsters of his. Go research his name in the Westlaw, the California law, the courts. Look at how much time he really got. Ask yourself, how did he do 10 years? Listen to what Body Young's saying. Go watch that video with Splinter, Prison POV. And you know what I mean? Just take it with a grain of salt. You can listen to his videos and be entertained, but know that he's not the real deal. He's English Bob from Undefeated with Clint Eastwood. And that's what he is. Prison Break Raw, uncut, uncensored, no holds barred, not sugarcoat, not politically correct, all up in your face, slapping you with that dick of reality. And I'm out.